today's video, we're going to talk about what is known as one of, I should say, the primary root emotion known as fear. Ooh. All right. Primary emotion of fear. Not as bad though when we look at it. All right. Hold that thought for a moment. See, here's the thing with fear. Fear's got this bad rap. Okay. You know, we've got t-shirts, in our society that talk about no fear. We look at fear as being good, bad, oh, it's so bad. It's wrong. It's, oh, I can't have fear. I got to conquer this thing called fear. Yet, I want to suggest that there actually could be a thing called healthy fear, good fear, fear that's actually hardwired in us that actually is good for us, okay? Well, you might be going, what are you talking about, Jeremiah? Well, this is what we're going to explore. You see, when we talk about a concept called cognitive distortions, it often leads us to feel or think, all right, into these extremes, good, bad, right, wrong, okay? All I'm suggesting when we're talking about primary emotions, because they are hardwired in us, all right? You can't run from it. You can't escape it. You gotta go through it and deal with it. The primary emotion known as fear is one of, in my opinion, one of the two top most misunderstood. The other one being one called anger, which we'll talk about in a different video. But fear being very misunderstood as a primary emotion, the way I like to describe it is simply this, okay? Let's narrow in this gap of good, bad, right, wrong, and let's narrow it in and talk about healthy and unhealthy fear, okay? Healthy fear, unhealthy fear, all right? What are we talking about? See, unhealthy fear, we've got lots of examples with that, but let's start with healthy fear to give an understanding of what I'm talking about. And then, of course, we can look at the unhealthy side. See, healthy fear would be like, let's say going outside of Calgary, about an hour and a half west of us, at least from this office, is a place called Canmore. Lots of nice hikes. Just right after that is a place called Banff National Park. Lots of great places to explore. And of course, well, during the filming of this video is springtime, and I know the news report just the other day was saying how there are these animals that are coming out. So you know where I'm going with this. So imagine where you've got maybe you and maybe a friend or maybe a partner, maybe your family, you're walking, taking a nice hike, and all of a sudden in the distance, someone's like, hey, what's that? And you're like, what? And you're like, oh, look over there. It's a bear. You see, in that moment, I hope your biologically hardwired thing called fear that is inside your primary emotions within your being actually turns around and walks away and has the proverbial terrible joke, which I'm gonna say it anyways. A lot of people have heard me say this. Okay, it's a groaner. But the person who is the fastest of the runners that are running away from the bear is generally then the last one eaten. All right. See, that's actually a good thing. That's healthy fear, all right? It's some of these TikTok and YouTube type videos that are out right now where you've got these people who are like, oh, it's a bear. I'm going to go give him a bear. In fact, let's get a selfie. Hey, meanwhile, they are getting mauled on camera. And I'm going, what is wrong with your fear ticker? No disrespect if you were one of those who maybe got mauled on a video because you thought it'd be cute to have a selfie, all right? I'm being a little jokey now, okay? But you get what I'm saying. That's not healthy. In some regards, we have to recognize this. Like, here's another example of healthy versus unhealthy fear. I actually think it's healthy to have a little bit of nervousness, which would be considered secondary emotion, one of the primary roots of that being fear of having an interview. That's normal to be a little, especially if it's a job that I really want to get. But there's a place to where it goes out of control, where unresolved can lead to an anxiety, all right, which the root emotion of that, or the root cause of that, is fear. In other words, and you're asked questions and you're like, and you have no idea what you're saying, and you walk out of that interview going, well, I don't think I'm getting the call back. And you might be right, because something in there, the fear went totally the other way, and it went out of control, right? Rather than even being unhealthy, it was just out of control and you didn't know what to say. You lost it. Your mind went blank. Hey, at the flip side, though, there also is another type of unhealthy fear. Kind of the secondary emotion of that would be like arrogance, having an attitude. Oh, yeah, I'm here for the interview. Just give me the job, bruh. Come on. No, are you kidding me? There is no healthy fear in that person. And it's good to have a bit of fear. You talk to any artist, any musician, for example, any athlete before a sporting event, and they often talk about how there's this moment of fear that they have to work through, all right, and have self-control over. See, that is healthy, that is normal, and it's what allows us to come up with great ideas, creativity, maybe ending up with an amazing interview that they have to call you at because you've learned to walk through unhealthy and healthy parts of the primary emotion known as fear. All right. Well, hey, you might be asking, what are some things that we can do to help out with this fear when it is on the unhealthy side? I'm dealing with anxiety, and if anxiety is a root issue, what's something I can do? Well, one of the things that I encourage people is just use what neuroscience has known for the last 40-ish plus years. And it's simply this: by actually saying out loud what we're dealing with, or maybe journaling, writing it down, okay? And saying that primary emotion, I am just dealing with some fear of ... Catch this, it's not just saying I'm afraid. No, it's saying I'm afraid of and actually naming what that is. And what neuroscience has discovered is those parts of the brain that are on fire, I'm afraid, in an unhealthy way, calm down to a place to where we can work through these things more effectively. Now, I love what one of my clients said many years ago. But Jeremiah, I tried that technique where I started saying I was afraid out loud, even journaling a little bit of it. But I still had to go through it. Yeah, exactly. It's like that old camp song, right? You can't go around it. You can't go under it. You can't go over it. You got to go through it. But how we go through it is the important part, because it leads to a concept that I've talked about before called self-regulation. And the more regulated emotionally I am, the more I am in self-healthy control of what I'm doing, feeling, which then affects my thinking, and that affects my behavioral outcomes of what I'm doing. Super important. So yeah, I might be in fear, but if I'm like, hey, I'm walking in a little bit of fear, it's good. I'm feeling a little bit of nervousness before my interview. That's normal. But I am feeling a little more unhealthy. Do some deep breathing, practice a lot of the strategies we've talked about in earlier videos. And next thing you know, you are walking through your primary emotion of fear now in a healthy way, to be able to use it to actually energize and empower your ability to move forward in your day in a healthy way. Geez, that almost rhymed. All right, YouTube, I think that's good for right now for the topic and the primary emotion of fear, okay? So hey, have a great rest of wherever you're at, and I'll catch you in the next video.